everyone. Welcome to the Migrant Thought Podcast. This is Matt. This is Zaric Zhakaron. Say hi, Zaric.
Howdy, y'all.
Roawyn.
Hello.
And a very special guest, Josh from the Shoddycast. Say hi, Josh.
Greetings.
Okay.
Ooh, intimidating.
Yes, excellent.
All right.
I was trying to do a Parthenax thing there, you know.
Yeah.
I got a high-pitched voice. It doesn't work very well.
I don't know. The guy who did Parthenax was actually the guy who did Mario, so anything's possible.
Oh, of course he is. Of course, that doesn't surprise me one bit. That guy does a bajillion voices.
Yes.
So, how about you introduce a little bit of yourself, Josh?
Oh yeah, sure. So my name is Josh. I work with the Shoddycast over there on the YouTubes, and I guess you could say our bread and butter is lore. I'm a lore nerd myself. I would never call myself a lore master by any means, but I'm definitely enthusiastic about lore, and so most of our channel has been centered around that. Aside from that, we've been doing a lot of other things lately with primarily Bethesda games. If it's Bethesda, we cover it, and that's pretty much us.
All right. How about you do a little bit about yourself, Zaric, even though you keep showing up for some reason?
Yes, indeed. My name's Zaric Zhakaron. I do lore videos. I do modding videos. I do most of the stuff. If you notice the way Shoddycast tends to gravitate toward the newer games like Skyrim and stuff, I tend to gravitate more toward Arena, Daggerfall, Battlespire, Redguard, the earlier games in the franchise, going back to the roots. But we both basically cover the same spheres, as it were. Now, as far as modding goes, I make mod builds and then I present them to the community. That's about it. You guys?
I'm Matt. I do stuff when I plan to do it. I'm still building my templates for stuff, but it's going to be more journalism, editorial stuff. And this is Rowan. What do you do, Rowan?
Mostly, I've got Fallout New Vegas that I just have wrapped up the main story with. Basically, I started off going for one of the hardest challenges in the game, at a loss for words. And then from there, I basically have gone to show how to get a quote-unquote perfect game. So I'm kind of into min-maxing, trying to make the most advantageous character possible. And I've got some Fallout 4 with my fiance and a few other things on my channel.
I gotta ask, Rowan. Have you tried Tale of Two Wastelands yet?
I have it on my to-do list. Believe me, my to-do list is getting very long.
Yes, do it. That's all I gotta say.
And Frontier's coming out.
There we go.
So
Even better.
I have no life. So let's move on to a little bit. So we're going to talk about Bethesda's Fallout 4 DLCs and related subjects like the price increase for the season pass and how touchy that is, and the practice going around, or basically the hashtag where's the fair use, and we're going to discuss what this means for the future of YouTube, etc., and some funny things of how it goes. For example, Pokemon Company takes down a channel that has the music license from that company because they didn't look at it.
Doesn't surprise me.
All right, so basically, what were your guys' initial thoughts when you heard about the Fallout 4 DLCs?
Okay, so I'm going to backpedal a little bit. When Fallout 4 was originally announced, I was kind of doomsaying, saying that, like, based on Bethesda's current trend of streamlining, that this was going to suck. And I was wrong. Like, it's better than your average open world game. But in my opinion, I liked Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas better. And that's unfortunate. I'm looking at these DLCs now, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I gotta get them because all the mods, all the big overhauls are going to require them. And that's where I'm looking at, is the modding scene, because that's what makes Bethesda games, at least everything from Morrowind forward, great, is the modding scene. And I'm just waiting for the development kit and everything to come out so that we can start seeing some really good developments in terms of Fallout 4. And unfortunately, fortunately, I should say, I didn't have to pay for the season pass. I received it, and I am expected to review it, so that's what I will be doing. Okay, so I'm going to flash back really quick to the paid mod system on Steam, and how Bethesda were, or should I say, the suits, as Josh mentioned, basically negotiated this deal with Valve, and the express conditions of that deal would there be no curation. I looked back on this, and I basically realized why. They wanted, this is just a construct in my head, but I'm pretty sure they wanted to sell DLC or paid mods for Fallout 4 on their Bethesda net. Now, right now, where's Bethesda net? Where's the console modding? Where's the construction kit? I don't think we're going to see these until a little bit later because it's not profitable. They've, as companies grow, they readdress their priorities. They have a mandated loyalty to their stockholders. And what's happening is that Bethesda is moving away from the I mean, they still have the creative force, but you can see their priorities shifting, and it's the ZeniMax. I don't want to say overlords, but this is the kind of mentality we're looking at. Yes, administrators. We're looking for the max amount of profit for the least amount of effort. And if we can use some psychological trickery here, like the haves and have-nots, you're not going to have this if you don't buy it right now. So, and we're going to raise the price. It's exactly what you said. You felt compelled to buy that. And when you may have just waited and bought the DLCs later, you know.
The console modding, the Xbox, I believe, is coming a month after the creation kit is coming.
Yes, exactly. But we're going to see the shape it takes. We're going to see if this Bethesda net materializes. We're basically going to see everything, you know, if it appears and when it appears in what form. But what I'm saying is that based on everything I saw from the paid mod system forward, I've seen a more corporate mentality going forward, upfront face, in terms of what they want to do. They want to make money, and I understand that, but it just comes off as douchey.
There was something I read about this Far Harbor DLC here where they said it's their biggest one yet, right? It's the biggest one they've ever done.
As for that being their biggest thing ever, I'm all right with that. What I'm not all right with is the fact that it's probably going to be filled with, well, these people need your help. You need to go kill everything in that place and take one item.
I can't wait for that mod.
Yes, thank you. Because really, that term when they're always bragging, and open world games love to do this, where it's like, oh, like square miles wise, it's huge, right? You can make the biggest desert in the world if you want. In the virtual world, it means nothing unless you're filling it with stuff of substance.
Josh, your point. I do Daggerfall a lot. Daggerfall to me was 1,000,000 miles wide, but a foot deep in terms of like the mechanics. Because it had tons and tons of mechanics, but none of them were fleshed out nearly as much as the future games. And that's how I feel a lot of this stuff is now. It's similar to Daggerfall in that sense. Like, you're going to make it huge, but you're going to fill it with radiant quests and not things of substance. We go back to even Morrowind, Shivering Isles, you know, pretty much Oblivion, and the quests were all thought out and meticulously planned and interesting, and more than just go here, kill that. And that's where I felt that Fallout 4 was lacking, and I really, really hope that we're going to get more Point Lookout and less Mothership Zeta.
Couldn't agree more with you. And
I actually like Mothership Zeta because of a mod associated with it.
Yes, I've seen that mod, and it's great. And I will probably plug that mod later because it's that good.
Unfortunately, it's unfinished right now.
Yeah.
Guys developing a game, which I actually interviewed, by the way.
Yeah.
Not so much the content of the space, but just wide open, randomly generated, whatever.
When I saw that game, I actually thought, that's going to be really boring.
Proof of concept.
What's it, Zaric?
EVE Online. Spreadsheet simulator in space. Yet it has such a following, and it has so many people invested in its it's an economic simulator. That it's not actually a space simulator, but it tricks people into coming for the infinite space, and then they buy ships and they buy stuff, and that's literally how they make their money, is through this complex economy. It's a trap. And I'm not saying No Man's Sky is a trap, but it feels an awfully like EVE Online, and I get that trend everywhere. The only game where I haven't felt that trend of, oh, we've got a lot of space and it's filled with nothing, that was The Witcher 3. A lot of space, and it had interesting things in it.
Oh God, what a great game. What a great game. When that Hearthfire thing came out, we had mods already for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, well, this does not excite me at all. And I feel like that's going to be pretty similar with the Wasteland Workshop of, I'm going to wait for the modding community to take care of this, because I feel like they'll end up doing it in the long run much better, and I won't have to pay a dime for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Hearthfire, the build your own house mod was fairly rigid. But when Hearthfire was implemented, I was able to take Jackson's positioner, reposition walls, add a throne to where the table should have been. You know, the point is that mods can interface with DLCs a lot better than they can other mods. It's just a standard. You know, the DLC isn't going to suddenly be updated with new content and break functionality in 12 of your other mods. They're set in stone, and I think that's where their strength is.
Here's a question I want to pose to everyone. What exactly is the definitive difference between an expansion pack for the game and a DLC or potentially an add-on pack?
The bastardization of terms started with companies misusing alpha and beta terms. And, you know, we hear beta used as a shield to protect them, you know, early access. You know, these words don't even have any meaning anymore. So DLC is an all-encompassing term. Expansion pack harkens back to when they actually made full quality products that simply required the original product.
And they were limited by the physical nature of the game.
Diablo 2 was garbage. It was a horrible game. Then Lord of Destruction came out, and the game was so much better. People have rose-tinted goggles because they only played Lord of Destruction. But I was there since Diablo 1, so I can tell you that expansion packs make a difference.
Going all the way back to decorating my house in Oblivion, I remember very meticulously placing books on shelves. It took me hours to do it in my little custom home in Oblivion, because they had no system to just set books on shelves. You had to actually pick them up and do it manually, but I did it.
Let me ask you, Josh, when you left and came back in, did the Havoc system go crazy and send your stuff flying everywhere?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
all the
okay,
time.
what you have to do is you have to drop stuff on the ground, then you have to leave, re-enter, and then you can position them. That's how it works.
You son of a bitch. Why do you tell me this now? It's all effed, man. It's all effed. It's in the past now.
But I bet you it was worth it.
I'm underwhelmed by the scope and scale of their recent expansions, aka DLCs, but when it comes down to this particular content, I think it would enrich my Fallout 4 experience, and once the modders get a hold of it and expand it, oh goody. You're insinuating the whole game was bread and then they sliced it up to sell to us?
Yep. They wanted to give us just a big enough loaf of bread that we wouldn't get mad that we didn't get, you know, our money's worth. But they're like, hey, you know, we have like a foot-long loaf of bread here. If we give them, you know, 75% of that, they probably won't be too mad if we give them the rest of the bread piece by piece.
Zaric?
See, we're never gonna bring in the young audiences if we keep talking about old stuff like this.
Well, back in my day, we had Vivek, and Vivek was a living god, you see?
The kids these days, no respect.
Technically, anyone under 17 shouldn't be playing the games either, but that's a whole different can of worms.
And this has already been done with Morrowind. Open Morrowind is about 2 months from being complete. There is a cooperative mod already underway because, you know, an open source project, anyone can just grab the code and do what they want with it. There's a cooperative mod already underway for Open Morrowind. And it's just a matter of time until we see Fallout New Vegas co-op completely out of the box supported, not janky. You know, and so we look at these older games, and like the community is taking the time to actually remake the games from scratch. You know, they're reusing the assets, obviously, but I mean the actual code and everything. And if they're doing that much effort, clearly there's a demand in the new generation games for these things.
I'd actually be willing to play the Morrowind one with you, Zaric. You'd have to teach me how to play the game, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh?
Oh yeah, I love the idea, back what Rowan said, of having, you know, I've had buddies sit on the couch next to me while I'm playing Fallout 4, and I have these just computer-controlled companions. It'd be great if they could just temporarily take over the companion. They would have no impact on the story. Like, they wouldn't be able to make dialogue options
or trade with vendors or anything, or you'd have to share them and keep.
Right, they're just, I could see them as like a guest in my world, because I will say this, in Bethesda games, I'm very protective of my world. I want it to be mine and mine alone, but I would be willing to accept a guest every now and then. Would be cool.
Has anyone played Elder Scrolls Travel's Shadowkey?
No, I've never even heard of it.
It is the only Elder Scrolls game to feature co-op out of the box. The idea is that you play with the N-Gage. It only works on the N-Gage. You can't even emulate the game. Anyway, so basically, you are able to join someone else's world. What happens is you are considered a nameless adventurer. If you try to talk to an NPC, they don't really want, like, go bother someone else, adventurer, basically. And the idea is that the main character has been summoned to this particular town by the regional lord in order to deal with something. So he's the hero. And you're all just nameless adventurers who are journeying with him. You get to take your loot with you, but keeping in mind that, like, the loot is duplicated for him. So you don't actually steal anything from their world, but you benefit on your characters. And you can take that loot back with you, provided it's not story-based. Like, the shadow keys, which are the main parts of the story, aren't transferable. But as you can help them along their journey regardless, and just have fun playing together.
That's funny you say that, because it is a Bethesda game, isn't it?
I don't know who made it, actually. I don't think it's Bethesda. I think it was just licensed out.
Oh, well, if that's the case, Bethesda says they tried to do a multiplayer spreadsheet thing before they made the game, and they turned it down. That concept is basically what I'm thinking, where character just shows up and helps you out and then disappears, or takes control of your companion.
Yeah, Battlespire had deathmatch, and that didn't turn out too well. I have to tell you that right now. It was pretty bad. So Bethesda's one real attempt at multiplayer didn't turn out too well.